What's going on, guys? I've had to re-record this a few times, mainly because, as the title suggests, I have ADHD, and I wanted to give you an insight into my life about how that is. And one little fact that I looked up, because I did know it was a small issue, but an issue nonetheless, is like the unemployment rate of people with ADHD as an adult. Now, this is an older study, but it was from 2016. Their percentage is around about 25 to 30%. 30% being the overall average of adults with ADHD being unemployed. But I've had to re-record this a few times because I have droned on a few times like I do. A lot of my ways around living life with ADHD is trying to have, first off, a job that I have, which I've went through several jobs, not because of ADHD, but after a year or two, things just get boring, and I can't keep a job like that because it makes me not so much depressed. It's just super uninteresting, and I just can't stand it. So I just kind of fall out. The job I have is pretty erratic. It's pretty sporadic. It's actually not the same thing every day. While it's a little tedious at times, I have to say it works well in my favor because I'm always interested in what I'm doing. Second is it's a swing shift job. So anytime I should start kind of teetering around being an insomniac, and if you have ADHD, you know, once you get hyper focused on something, you can't stop thinking about it. And that's kind of how it works. I can kind of not train myself, but in certain instances, all right, time to hyper focus on something because I got to go to night shift, and boom, I can keep myself up for the, extra 10, 15 hours that it takes to go to bed at 8, 9 o'clock in the morning. Same thing if I'm going back to days. Most of the time I can hyperfixate and kind of try to get my mind set on the thing I've been kind of pushing away for the most part. And it makes it a lot easier to, do swing shift, and I don't have to worry about sleep pattern issues, because if you have ADHD, sometimes you will be an insomniac and you can't sleep sometimes. Having a swing shift job, for the most part, helps that because I don't really have to worry about that, because the times I'm sporadic usually is mildly controllable. Hobby jumping happens all the time. I took up art when I was a kid. Art has always been fascinating with me anyway. I have drawings that I did when I was like 15, but they're not freehand drawings. They are copycat drawings. They're basically a photo I take that was like, this big, and blew it up, and I drew it almost 1 for 1, except for expanded. So like a 5-to-1 ratio. I took up pyrography recently, and I'm trying to stay on task, but it's really hard to do because it's a long process to do pyrography right. And with the track record I have with any tools that can hurt you, I have scars all over me from messing up, being stupid and cutting myself, not like intentionally, just stupidity. Wood whittling. I would try to make figures, and I actually had a knife go straight in my hand. That's the type of stuff that happens when I just sporadically want to go learn stuff, and I try to advance myself faster than what I should. I get completely, past what my advancement is, and I'll get hurt because of stupidity. That's another reason why I jumped on the hunting bandwagon, late last year, was because another hobby, and it's something that's not the same. It's always going to be different, and I actually enjoy it. It's one of the few times that I'm quiet and happy to be quiet, because fishing, turkey, deer, and duck. Well, deer's the most boring, but duck hunting is actually not boring. It's a short hunt. It's usually 2.5 hours. You just get there a little bit before sun comes up. Get ready to fire, do it for about an hour, and then you get to leave. And usually you can get quite a few shots off, and you can get quite a haul if you're in a good spot. I love it. It's enjoyable, and it's great. Kind of with object permanence. That's a real thing. We'll put it this way. I like to drink beer. I can drink beer and grill like all day long and be happy. If I'm trying to prep food, I might crack one open when I'm prepping all my food, take a few sips, have it in my hand, and probably walk to like the dining room for whatever reason. While I'm prepping food, because something could be preheating or whatever is going on. And I'll set it down, walk away without grabbing it, because I'll put something in my hand. It could be a video game, it's whatever. Because my mind's trying to put them up like dominoes, and then let them click over, and then I have a finished product. But in the middle of that, I'll put the beer down. And I'll go grab the food I prepped, go outside, put it on, come back in and go, where's that beer? Can't find it. So I'll go outside and crack another one. So when I'm barbecuing or grilling or whatever I'm doing, I'm probably going to go with about 3 to 5 beers that are going to have to be poured out from getting hot, just because I will not think about it. Object permanence is not just for objects. They also go for people. If you have somebody that's a friend of yours that has ADHD and they text you at all, like first, at any point, it took a lot. It took a lot for them to keep you in that little part of the brain where they can even think about anything. Conversations are boring all the time. It doesn't matter. The only reason is because when somebody has ADHD, at least in my case, I like to talk and ramble about random shit and get stuff off my chest. Otherwise, I will never get off my chest. And it could be literally anything. It could be goofy shit I've thought of. It could be a video I watched. And worst problem about it is if I don't get it out then, I'm never going to get it out. It's going to bug me later. That's a kind of a big reason why I started doing YouTube videos. It's cathartic, and I can literally talk about whatever the hell I feel like. And it could be a different subject every day. And there's, out of, like 7 billion, 8 billion people, there's bound to be somebody willing to be like, you know what, this guy's talking about random shit, I'm cool with it. There's a high chance that people with ADHD drink. And yeah, I adopted it. Now, here's the funny thing. Whether you want to, define it as being an alcoholic or however you want to put it, I mean, in the sense of just calling somebody an alcoholic because they drink often. I do drink basically every day. Now, when you're hearing that, I assume you're thinking he's pounding down a whole bottle of vodka or a 12-pack. That's not the case. I have, periodically, I will stop for 3 to 4 months to see, I don't know, if I have any type of, issues. Usually when you are a heavy drinker, you will go through withdrawals. And I've never had the effects of withdrawals from alcohol. Now, I've had them from tobacco. I've had them from high doses of caffeine, which was a horrible idea. And I've never had it with alcohol. And I consider, in my opinion, if you are physically addicted to alcohol, that is the part where you are an alcoholic. Now, a lot of other people say, no, it's just if you drink every day or if you have some kind of ritual in drinking, this, that, and the other, you have to celebrate. Okay, sure, that's your definition. I don't care. I just think I don't consider myself an alcoholic because with the idea I can put it down anytime, I quite literally can. The only reason why I don't is because I know this is going to sound stupid. I actually like the taste of beer. Having to play multiple different titles at the same time. And what I mean by that, you're not actually openly playing 5 consoles at the same time. But a lot of people can only fixate like on one game at a time. Say a new Call of Duty season comes out. Well, there could be 5 other games released in that month, but they'll buy them and they just won't play them. ADHD is going to try to play every one of them at the same time. So like if I have a weekend and I'm not doing anything, we're not going out, nothing's going on, that morning I will probably play 5 to 6 hours, depending on if I'm hyper fixated on it. 5 to 6 hours in one new game, and go to the next new game, and then later that night I'm playing Call of Duty with the boys, and I will remember all the controls to all the games because I actually, while playing Call of Duty, I really want to get the dub, I really want to do this. I'm also hyper fixated on, oh man, I can't wait to see the ending of this. We'll use Final Fantasy VII Rebirth as an example. I was playing it, I forget the other game, in Call of Duty. New season came out, and I was like jumping from game to game constantly. Right now, the only reason I'm not playing the 1,000-Year Door is because it's just not clicking. It's not there. It hasn't been shelved and like pulled to get ready to play it. It happens sporadically. Being hyper fixated on like buying something. Having ADHD, it's a patience thing, and sometimes patience is good, and I can kind of do it. But there will be something I'll see, say, on TikTok or Amazon, Facebook, pretty much any of them. And if I see it, and I am very, very addicted to ads, if it's something that interests me and it's within my price range, I'll probably buy it. I am a sucker for it because it's a need for right then and there. It's not so much consumerism as much as it is, oh, I hit the endorphin, something that I don't usually get because I am so diluted in everything. Another thing was school. I was a advanced level student when I was like from kindergarten to like 3rd or 4th grade. And the problem with it was I was getting more and more bored and I just didn't care. While I was at school, I wanted to draw, and I would draw the shit out of a bunch of things. I was always hyper bored. So I was fixated on art and all the different things I could draw, cartooning and all that. And then once I got to high school, it got worse to the point that I just literally failed a grade. Now, I don't know about you, but I hated school. I hated high school. I hated almost everybody I was in school with. Everybody just was always putting on the fakest persona they could, and a handful of like the preppy people were like third to fourth generation at that school. So like all their families went to that school, and none of mine did, other than like my direct sisters. And I just found it super annoying to be around all these people. So I had to step up, and that was the only time that I really tried in school, was to make sure I could graduate on time. So what I ended up doing was skipping a grade. Well, I say skipping. I skipped a grade to get back into my grade, and it was all because I was bored. They did not stimulate me enough. A couple of the teachers were really nice. They would let me listen to music, which was awesome. I had a little MP3 player. For you younger folks, it's kind of like Spotify, except for you don't get ads. You had to already have the music or it ripped. And there was no Wi-Fi for that. So it was literally just preloaded music, and it was a whole lot of metal I would listen to. And I would just sit there, listen to music, do my math, do my English, science, whatever it was. And I would usually get straight A's on the teachers that let me just ignore them. And I would go through a lot of the paperwork and all the homework and stuff, and I would just do it myself, because if I didn't know something and the subject of the day, yeah, I would take it out and respectfully listen. And if I didn't understand it later because of focus problems, I would ask extra questions, and these good teachers that knew I wanted to graduate would help me with that. There's a lot of things that come and go with ADHD, mainly because of the focus problems. But I think there's a lot of misconceptions out there that people with ADHD, as I was told by somebody, they don't get beat enough. Quite literally, that came out of a person's mouth. They said ADHD doesn't exist. You just didn't get beat enough. And I was like, dude, you don't know what my life was as a kid anyway. So that's not a conversation to have with that person. But I told him, you have no idea what you're talking about. That's another reason why I collect like magic cards, stuff like that, is because it's something that I can look through and be different every time I pull something. And a lot of the things that I do in life are just random. I cannot really stay on the same thing. That's why YouTube, yet again, like I said, is such a good avenue for me to, kind of just do videos, because it's a different subject every day. It's a different thing to talk about. It's a different thing to look at, and a different thing to share from whatever I've experienced for that day, as far as like certain videos. But I think this video has gone on long enough. I would like to say, if you've got to the end, I appreciate it. Please like, share, subscribe, whatever you feel like doing. It is very much appreciated. That's all I got to say. Y'all have a good one.